As I look around the work that ABM is involved with and the work that our partners undertake and the work that you support, I see so much energy and vitality and so much growth and renewal. Last year I had the opportunity to visit new work that we're undertaking in Africa and was absolutely inspired by what I saw on the ground. Local communities taking responsibility for their own lives and sharing with others that have far less than themselves. Great opportunities for evangelism and journeying with people and sharing the story of Jesus with them. As I also visited China for the printing of the 100 millionth Bible, I was absolutely awe-inspired by thinking of going back in my own mind to when I was a child, raising money so that we could send Bibles underground into China. And suddenly we see all these Bibles being produced and sent around the globe for the Bible Society. And to hear that the church in China is even being supported in some places by the government to be able to actually engage more and to reclaim some of its facilities and programs that it previously had. And during the course of last year, ABM's own engagement in designing a reconciliation action plan, I think, was incredibly important for us, for our past, for the future, but also I hope for the church as a whole, because having gone through the process ourselves, it's something that we would like to encourage the church as a whole, individuals in parishes, dioceses, and perhaps nationally the church to have supported and engaged in, so that we can truly move forward in the spirit of reconciliation and do justice to the first peoples of this land. As I think of the year ahead, I think of what 2013 and 2014 even look like. I'm aware that there are a number of needs that our partners have, which I feel it is important that the Church in Australia supports through prayer and hopefully financially as well. In the first case, I would almost immediately turn to our partners in the Pacific and think of the continuing needs that the Church in Papua New Guinea, that the Church in Solomon Islands and Vanuatu, Church in other parts of the Pacific have. Issues to do with training good leaders, finding the resources that are needed there, helping their own local congregations have the sorts of basic resources that we in our parishes regard as just the norm. Being able to provide good teachers, good training, good health facilities, good schools, all these things we struggle with. And although we rely here on our government to provide these things and hope that the governments in these places can do them, to do the same thing, of course we know that that's not the case, and there is an increasing demand on ABM, on its limited resources, to make sure that we are able to provide or help our partners provide for both the physical and spiritual needs of their people. If I move further afield, I continue to think of the commitment that we have to the church in Myanmar, which some of you may know as Burma. This commitment by ABM to work with this partner is of a very long standing. The country is now opening up. There is a great demand on the limited resources that they actually have at hand. There are requests for ABM to expand the commitment that we have in the area of development. We've worked with all the dioceses there and seen growth and great development of capacity, but there is so much more that we could do. And then there are the new programs in Africa, which I've spoken to you about before. These programs continue to provide a great deal of needed support for our churches in Kenya and Zambia and in Sudan, and even in Ethiopia. Programs that I think are exciting, that are bringing us into the ambit of new partners that maybe we've worked with previously, but partners that we've not known for at least a decade or more. And so there's a lot for us to learn and to share, and a lot of potential, I hope, for the Australian Church to get a greater sense of what's happening on the ground in Africa. Coming back from the African Church, I was presented with a gift. 3 giraffes. Quite interesting when you actually think of the 3 giraffes and what they symbolise. I was told that it was a trinity of giraffes, and I've never ever thought of the trinity as being 3 giraffes before. But in the African context, when you actually think of the movement, of the action, of the reaching out, of the way giraffes have such grace and such agility, it really did inspire me into some fresh thinkings about the way we ourselves reflect on what is essential to our faith, our understanding of God as Trinity, 3 in 1. So it's always with a sense of humility that I now approach our partners, not only going there so that I can take something from the Australian Church or share some insights or encourage them to do even more, but to go there to learn, to learn things that I hope that I can bring back and share with the church here, to encourage connections, to build bridges and arrangements that will help the Australian Church grow and share in the ministry that is taking place, to be inspired, to be encouraged, to be nurtured, to feel God's presence flowing throughout the world, to understand how the gospel continues to need to be placed in its context so that we can actually reach out in love in a way that is appropriate to God's people in that place. So my prayer for you this Lent is that you will take the time to actually stop, to think about how you are called to engage in mission, to think about what that means for you, to see how it is not just a reaching out, but also a receiving back, so that you too allow yourself to be transformed by God's Spirit working through us in mission.